Okay, I think that's decent now. New headphones. Firsted. Firsted. Congratulations to Herringbone in the previous stream for being first, well done. And Outrider with this one, very good. Very good. I also saw Sayaka before. Sayaka again, very nice. Fake a stream problem so we can run an extra ad. Sweet revenue. Yep, I pulled up the old interface because I'm lazy and I can't be bothered to dig up a new one. So we're back to the old interface. One stream only. You look like you need to shave. Don't shave. Who do I believe? I mean, we need a tiebreaker. Help me decide whether to shave or not. I think I should shave. I look awful. Dollar shave. If only there was some way for me to get constantly, like consistently good raises for somewhere between $2 and 50 cents. For convenience's sake, let's say it's $1. If only there was a way to do that, but I don't know. It's kind of beyond me. Maybe someone here can think of a business model. I don't know. Who else did I see in the previous stream? I think I saw TTLACC too, just as I was pressing stop, because these I don't know if these headphones work anymore. That's sad. So now I've got Bluetooth headphones, and there's like a slightly bigger delay, which is a bit more annoying. Oh well, welcome to Lyrebird. What am I? Edits. That's right. We're going to go through OutriderSG's story today and continuing on from where we were last time. Good. So Saika, when you feel like your story is like you've gone through it again and you're happy to have another round of editing, send it back to me and we can continue, because I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with her and how you want to, I suppose, change the pacing for the start. And if you need any more help, just let me know over Discord. Alrighty, without further ado, let's dive in. I think I've wasted enough time this morning. So, what? It costs $5 a month? And I'll send you a box of razors. Oh, wow, how could I refuse? That sounds like a totally legit offer. Oh god. Okay. Also, apologies in advance. I'll need to end the stream a little early today, like a bit before 11 my time, so 10:50 I think is where I'm going to cut it off. With that being said, let's dive in. So our main character, who I think is called Leanna, has just traipsed from the outside into this building, come through a tunnel, and now she's in an old office looking around. Grey like the walls, grey like the carpet, grey like the air itself. Moving down the line, she began sifting through various drawers and cubbies. Pictures covered the short walls, snapshots of people's lives, their spouses, their kids, but none contained what she was after. Stepping out of the row, she learned that the entire floor was a sea of these monotonous desks, each and every one identical to the last. Every drawer she emptied, every desk she cleared, the desperation swelled. Leanna could feel herself growing thirstier by the minute, more desks, still nothing, until finally a windfall. A monitor laid cracked in half atop a desk, tipped over, and pinned in place by a weighty beam. Dust was caked on thick, but beneath the cleaved screen sat a purple woolen fabric, and nestled in the folds was an unopened bottle of water. She tugged the wool out and drew the crystal clear container from its purple sheath. The light spilled in from the cracked windows, spilling in from the cracked windows, refracted through the water, as though it were a crystal, painting colour into the grey room. It was rare to find a bottle with the seal intact. She didn't hesitate. There was no sense in rationing it. The seal broke with a satisfying crack as she twisted the cap off. She tipped her head back and drank until her belly swelled with water, and for a moment she was back in that remnant camp, gulping down as much as she could handle. After finishing off the last drop, she glared at the plastic husk and whinged, "You idiot." The water, so difficult to find, so vital to survival, was gone. All of it. Maybe there's more. Eventually, she wound up at the center of the room. The middle of the floor had collapsed, cutting her off from the rest of the level. She raised a single eyebrow, amazed that the entire story hadn't buckled. The chasm was too wide to clear in a single hurdle. She could try to climb along the walls, but nothing that could work as a handhold looked treacherous. But anything. A couple of words I'm just tripping over. Here, clear, nothing, anything. That's my fault. That's Sunday morning liar, not being very awake. The chasm was too wide to clear in a single hurdle. She could try to climb along the walls, but anything that could work as a handhold looked treacherous and unsteady. Nope, she thought. Maybe there's a plank or something around here. It occurred to her that the caved-in floor sat at a lucky angle. The end of her side was propped against a wall on the ground level, resting a few inches beneath her feet. The opposite end had fallen all the way to the floor, forming a sort of ramp that led straight down into the room below. She sat on the ledge, then swung her legs forward and scooted her backside over the edge. She fell onto the ramp, then slid down its steep incline. Leanna now stood in the cafeteria, but most of it had been barricaded by the cave-in. To her right was a pair of glass doors, which were also obstructed. They'd been pinned shut by slabs of concrete, panes of glass laid shattered in 1,000 pieces beneath the frame. Ooh, there's a comet here. Let's cut it there, because that's this. Good. Bottle of water, moving down from one level to the other. That's the kind of driving elements we've got here. Alrighty. Man, Windows Update is annoying. Still can't get over that. So, apologies once more for being a little late to this stream. With that being said, we are here now. So, first thing I notice is, when she finds the water, I'll make this, again, more of a yellow edit. I like these edits. Less green, more yellow. Much more yellow. But it's something that I think might be a bit more useful for what we're dealing with here. So she's searching around for water. Here. And then she finds it, drinks it open, and then berates herself. So, perhaps one thing that is by the Literary Shade Club. For just $5 a month, you too could have a close-fitting edit. Oh dear. One thing that I think is that would be really vital to the success of this paragraph would be like a ramping up of the emotion, like a climax. I think right now it's quite straightforward and functional. She moves between the offices, finds something that could be promising. Yep, it's water, and then she drinks it back. You idiot. So, how would you make this a bit more emotive? Like, you want to imbue a few more elements to it, like a sense of relief, disbelief, maybe caution, or throwing caution to the wind. Like, you can play it lots of different ways. I think right now it's quite straight and narrow. It's like, yep, there's water, I'm drinking it. Maybe the only emotion that's here is, there was no sense in rationing it, which maybe explains her actions a bit, in that she cracks it open, drinks it, and then says, you idiot. Now, a really simple fix to all of this would be at the very start, here. So from this point on, you can imbue the discovery, weave in the desperation, make her get frustrated, searching, and then she breaks down, kicks the table, which moves monitor and sees the water. That could work well too. That's quite a nice sort of lead in. Oh, sure, it's a bit of a convenient vehicle, but like it works well for stories, I think. You don't have to always reinvent the wheel when it comes to these sorts of like, I'm searching for something, it's not there, I lash out, and all of a sudden it's there. We've seen it a couple of times before, but it's useful, right? Like, one of the things about tropes is that they're useful. They're shorthand code for easily identifiable emotive things. So we don't have to worry about like I quite like this. I've seen it before in other games, movies, stories, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't use it. I think it's worthwhile putting in. So yeah, OutriderSG beat me to the punch. Also keep in mind that the full focus of this chapter is her discovery for water. And in the last stream I said it was a bit more... It weaves through the narrative in a very soft but clear manner, but there's no strong overarching declaration of like, holy crap, I need water right now and I'm in the middle of a wasteland to get it. It's more like a sort of inevitability, if that makes any sense. It feels more like it's a quiet pulse and a drive, which, if she's a wasteland scavenger, could actually be an interesting thing to play with. It's like, yep, I need water, don't we all? And I'm doing it again. It's like the sort of equivalent of the modern 9-to-5 career job. You know, after a while, it stops becoming exciting wasteland adventure, and it's just like, oh, I need more water again. Which is good. I actually quite like that aspect to it. But keep in mind that all of this chapter from here to here is in a present tense manner. I need water, and this is the I get water moment. So you need to sort of ramp it up a bit. Yep. You can't give me bits. No. You can give me bits of love. Ah. Oh. No. Yeah. I'm not an acolyte yet. Maybe I should sign up. Maybe. Go back on what I was saying before. Actually, that's a good point that you raised there. That wasn't quite what I was going for, but that's probably what should be there as well. It's you can be clever about this, Sean, too. Like this is a really nice addition, and if you can weave it into how to put this. What I was saying about like the wasteland equivalent of a 9-to-5. It's desperate, but it's familiar in its desperation. It's just a repetitive desperation. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Usually when we have wasteland stories, it's always like, it's quite melodramatic. It's like, oh, I need water. Where's the water? Here's the water. But like, if you do this for 18 years of your life non-stop, and Leanna isn't 18, I just pulled the number out of nowhere. I wonder what that would feel like. Like, if it's just so... so common that you don't even think about it anymore? Maybe you'd like to play with that idea. I don't know. Oh, how long were you away for, Psycho? Yeah, exactly, the routine of first. I've never really seen that before. I like that too. So what you do for something like that is you could do almost what you're doing right now. It's sort of minimizing the aspect of the water. Sure, the first is there, but what I really like about this paragraph is that it sort of feels like when she finds it, it's almost anticlimactic. She's like, "Yep, here it is. Caps off. I drink it." And when I read through it the first time, I sort of thought, "Oh, that's kind of weird." I thought she'd be more happy about it. But maybe if you want to play with this routine of thirst, which I'm going to copy and pasty paste. Maybe if you want to explore this idea of routine of thirst, then you can make this whole discovery scene a bit more anti. Have a think about how to achieve this. I actually think you've done a good job so far of it, in a weird roundabout way. One trick might be to maximize novelty. Like a new coloured bottle will have her focus on the... Do you call them cubbies? I guess we call them cubicles, which is cubbies, short for cubbies. Fiji? What have I missed? Oh, that's right, Psycho, you weren't here. That's right. It was a water brand you didn't like. Yeah, exactly, TTLAC. That's a really good one, I like that. Or it's like... It's one of those flavored waters? Ah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Good suggestion. TTLACC suggests something really simple, like it was a water brand she didn't like. I've never seen anything quite like that. His mouth watered like a bottle of water. It's not Fiji. Oh, that's right. The Fiji is a water brand. It's not Voss water. I can't drink this swill. Maybe you can there's water. I'm gonna pull that up. That's a really funny suggestion. I hate sparkling water. I really hate sparkling water. More than minions? Minion with sparkling water. If someone would like to Photoshop a minion holding a bottle of sparkling water, that would make my Sunday very unpleasant. Cubbies are sometimes cubicles, but they're also a series of shelves without drawers. Ah, okay. Sparkling water is ass. Yes, thank you. So true. There is only one opinion on sparkling water, and it's this. This is the correct one. But I also agree with that second statement. I like it when it's flavored. I don't know. Sparkling water unflavored is just... bleh. Okay, how do I ban you, Herringbone? You're getting banned. It's been nice having you on the stream, but that is the wrong opinion. Where? Oh, I'm not even in the dashboard. Hang on. Just wait a second, Herringbone. I'm gonna ban you. Twitch. Maybe by the time I get there, my anger will dissipate. No, I'm still furious. It's alright. Sparkling water with lots of sugar in it. I never thought to add sugar. I guess that would make it more tolerable, actually. Anyway, let's get back to the edit. Lots of things you can do with this. Lots of really cool things. Also, Herringbone, I'm not gonna ban you. I love you too much not to ban you. Despite your awful insistence on the anti-truth. What was I gonna say about something else? Hello, Seikoj. Hi. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Welcome back to the stream, more importantly. What's your take on sparkling water? Do you have the right opinion on sparkling water? Let me know. Yeah, it's like nice when all the times align. Sparkling water is the best. Well then, I will boot you from this server. Ban, timeout. The kids don't understand it. Ooh, I feel slighted. Now, Saka, I know you're just saying that to tilt me. I know that you have better taste than that. But do you like flavored sparkling water, Sekoj? That's the real question. Because if you do, I think we can come to an agreement here about sparkling flavored water being nice. The other thing about this paragraph that I was... Ooh, that upsets me. Oh well. Oh well. Can't win them all. Can't win them all. We're editing Sean's story today, so this was a carryover from Thursday's edit, which itself, we've done chapters 1 and 2 of this story. It's about the alien invasion. I think you were there for those. This is the third chapter of it, set 17 years after the events of the first two chapters. The crystal. It was rare to find a bottle with the seal intact. She didn't hesitate. There are lots of other things you can do here, like it was rare to find a bottle with the seal intact. Should this cause suspicion? Just thinking... Kazooie. Pause. The other thing is that... Moving down the line, she began sifting through various drawers and cubbies. Pictures covered the walls, snapshot of people's lives, their spouses, their kids, but none contained what she was after. Stepping out of the row, she learned that the entire floor was a sea of these monotonous desks. I wonder if there's not something small that you could add here after the kids and before this sentence. Pictures covered the walls, snapshots of people's lives, their spouses, their kids, full stop, each one a story, full stop, something like that. I wonder if that wouldn't elevate the emotional punch of it a little more. Maybe you could add a tiny little something here to expand on the... It doesn't have to be too big. Maybe just something. Suspicion falls in line with the idea it's a trap. Gotcha. That's what I was going for, I think, because she was suspicious before, wasn't she? When she first scopes out the scene, she's awfully cautious. But we haven't quite narrowed down the source of it. Good opportunity then to slip in the fact that she may be more afraid of the Wastelanders, or whoever they are, humans. Because we haven't seen any evidence of the aliens so far in this chapter. What we've got more is like the post-apocalyptic scene going, which is interesting. In some ways, having them vacated from the scene works really well, because it means you can do things like this. You establish a new time frame, and your readers is kind of expecting like, oh, where are the aliens? But the real monsters are humans. Oh, ho, 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 ho. There's this great Futurama clip where it's of the scary door, and it's of this scientist making this the most evil creature in all of creation, and then from like the big test cylinder, just a human walks out, and he says, "Turns out it's people," or "Turns out it's man." Like in a really sort of deadpan delivery. Yeah. You can kind of go for that. Oh, sorry. People are chatting, and I'm here editing. Oh, how rude of me. I should be in the chat. Outrider says, the recrystallizing light. This one here. Yeah, let's comment on that next. We can work on that. Dozens of photos of cats. That's quite nice, actually. Yeah. For this little snippet here, maybe put it back in and see if it works. My idea is to make humans the main bad guys. Interesting. And we're about to get to an alien encounter too. Cool. Okay, so all these sort of things we can work with. Good, good, good. In which case, let's have a play with this one. The light spilling in from the cracked windows, refracted through the water as though it were a crystal, painting colour into the grey room. This is the image that we want to achieve, and I agree with you. It's nice, but it's flat, isn't it? Why is it flat? Why does it feel like it's flat? Maybe because it reads quite passively. Maybe if you want to contain the same idea, let's put those in brackets. How would you write this instead? Yeah. You take the wool out and drew the crystal clear container from its purple sheath. Hmm. The crystal clear container. Hmm. We actually haven't had a sentence with I was trying to Leanna. We have, sorry, I'm just trying to remember the last time we referred to her as Leanna, but not she. So I'll go back here, Leanna. I don't know, something like this maybe. It felt good in her hand, the weight of the texture of the bottle. She held it against the light, checking for specks and contamination. Outside light caught the edges, bent their flow, casting little rainbow rivers across the office, prismic pure. Which is exactly the same thing as the light spilling in from the cracked windows reflected through the bottle as though it were crystal, painting colour into the grey room. Why does that... like, how are they different? Do you prefer this? Right. Okay, cool. And I think you've nailed what I was going for, which was it's interactive. One really clean way to make a flat metaphor, which is a nice metaphor. Well, sorry, we're not talking metaphors here. We're talking images. Metaphors are images too, but this is an image that you're trying to paint and sculpt, like a fine chin in good need of a shave. $5 a month, guys. It's good value. I'm just saying, okay? Just throwing it out there. Good value. It's interactive. And it's interactive because you get your character to perform the motions. And in doing so, it makes it feel as though it's happening live. And it prevents the flatness from creeping into this, which is a general description of the light in a very impersonal sense, but I guess shining shining the prism of our focus onto this helps. Yeah, I think you guys get what I mean. I'm so sorry. I had to take that opportunity, just like the opportunity to sign up to the Dollar Shave Club. Use my coupon code, and I'll get kickbacks. Maybe they have a system like that. Thank you, Outrider. I'll try. when I see it, I'll take it. I feel my ego being inflated. I'm losing fans. Oh no! I'm a huge sellout, guys. The $5 Shave Club to be exact. I still can't get over that. It's like you go into a dollar store, right? You expect everything to be a dollar. Nope. Nope. But I mean, I get why they're not all a dollar. But it's called the Dollar Shave Club. Why wouldn't it be? Anyway, what are these? Like, oh, it's dollar bills. I thought they were like clogs, like wooden shoes with plants growing from them. I couldn't see them properly. They just add a penny more to the dollar to a $.99. That's true. That's true. The dollar stores here, except for Daiso, which has a consistent price thing, the dollar stores here tend to be a bit more like in name only, I think. Hmm. I should be careful what I say here. I don't want to know what you want me to spruik, Sayaka. I have a very high price threshold. I know, right? Don't trust this one. I was kind of thinking about this too, yeah. Like the Fallout currency bottle cap system. Um, hmm. Makes me think as well why it's in a Outrider, we may be coming to a point where is this a laid out trap? I'm not sure if this is gonna happen, like would she be suspicious? At this point of a story I don't know, of course, if there's a monster that's gonna come out. Maybe. But should she be suspicious of the fact that it's in a purple sheath? Let's move on from this paragraph. What ammo? Ooh, I use this currency. Cool. I'm very trustworthy. Eventually, she wound up at the center of the room. So from here, she basically moves from here down to here. You can make this a bit more concise, I think. This is one of those things where I think successive video game exposure and movie exposure make this more intuitive than you'd imagine it would be. You can kind of sum this up as Leanna walks to the center of the room and takes to a piece of collapsed roofing down to the next level. There, she stands in the middle of the cafeteria, so you can kind of reduce all of this into a single sentence. I feel like the motion here can be cut down to one sentence. No, didn't spell it right. There we go. I think you can go maybe even more. It's we know the shorthand for what it is that you're trying to do here in terms of level A, level B, going down to it. I just sort of feel like it's second nature, maybe? As your readers probably this ramp style system, I sort of feel like it's a staple of a superhero movie or a game. You just go from A to B. Leanna now stood inside the cafeteria, but most of it had been barricaded by the cave-in. To her right was a pair of glass doors, which were also obstructed. They'd been pinned shut by slabs of concrete, panes of glass laid shattered in 1,000 pieces beneath the frame. I'd actually do this a little differently. To her right was a pair of glass doors, which were also obstructed. This is definitely a tell. I think you can do this a bit differently. Oh, I'm not suggesting. Damn. Damn, da damn, da damn, 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 damn. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. To her right was a pair of glass doors. Underfoot. No. What did I just type? Barricaded by the cave-in. It's not quite what I had, but maybe it works. Maybe you could do this instead. It tells you again, but the way it tells you is a bit more interactive. Crunched good. Last underbook listened to saying or something like that, yeah. Something like it. Again, it's about taking the impersonal narration and making it slightly more interactive. Cool. Glad you like it. It's a simple fix, isn't it? It's about taking the camera from like a wide view and being very clinical about the description, and just pushing it a little more into Leanna and following her around, getting her actions to dictate what we see next. I think that's probably a good thing to work through most, if not all, of the story. Really clean fix as well. You just restructure some of the sentences and how they all fit together, but it's not a major addition, and something that's quite worthwhile doing, I think. Yeah, just in terms of like the going down from between the floors. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think we can suspend our disbelief of like architectural rigor and civil engineering principles. I don't think we're too concerned about it. But if you want to keep it sort of believable, then you can flesh it out a bit more. It's up to you. Right, exactly. Like she could do lots of other things instead. But I guess it's up to you how literal you want to be. Hmm. Been pinched up by slabs of concrete. Sometimes it's nice to just declare a fact outright. I think that's okay. I mean, you could demonstrate it by saying Leanna traced um, the damaged architecture of the wall, noticing that blah 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 blah. But sometimes it's just nice to be like, they've been pinned shut. Move on. This is why it's nice to tell sometimes. Like it's just refreshing to not have detail always demonstrated to you, and yeah, that comes down to personal preference too. Hmm. So then you can get rid of this as well, because that's now implied under here. Directly in front of her was a counter, and behind it a swinging door that led to a kitchen. Let's do a bit more reading. She imagined the sorts of things that she might find in there: canned peaches and pears and pineapples, carrots, green beans, corn and peas, perfectly preserved, jars of peanut butter and honey, giant vats of pudding with and tiny tins of slippery meat. Her mouth watered at the thought of it, like a bottle of water. But her excitement was short-lived. The hairs on her neck stood on end. It was faint, but she could hear it. The noise was all too familiar, a deep, infinitely rising hum. It was laced with something sharp, an unearthly, metallic whirring. It was growing louder by the second, and it was unmistakable. It was the ominous roar of an outrider. Hey, OutriderSG! Ah. Two of them, in fact. Let's cut there really quickly. Sorry to jump in when the action's just about to start. Just a couple of things. Let's bring them into the kitchen. We can make this more visceral too. Yep. Just a really quick change there. You could say her stomach twisted around, her stomach tightened, rather than just she imagined. What does that do? Makes it a bit more real for Leanna. Real for Leanna, and then it feels more real for us, I guess. Um, Her excitement was short-lived. Yeah, interesting. There are two ways you could do that. This currently has like a narrative priming effect that I don't see all that often anymore. No. Her excitement was short-lived. I mean, in the reader's mind, it's like, uh-oh. And you immediately get that uh-oh. Yeah, actually, I quite like that. The more modern approach would be to not do this and to have, like, her mouth watered at the thought of it, and she made her way quickly across the room, full stop. Noise. Blah 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 blah. It's a very modern way to do it that way. I quite like this, actually. I think it fits the tone of what we're going for here. The hairs on her neck stood on end. It was faint, but she could hear it. The noise was all too familiar. Colon? A deep, infinitely rising hum. It was laced with something sharp. Comma? An unearthly metallic whirring. Strictly speaking, that should also be a colon, but if you want to keep your grammar fluid, you can put a comma there. It was laced with something sharp, comma, an unearthly metallic whirring. That's fine too. It was growing louder. Just be careful, you got it was, it was, it was, it was. And I don't think that kind of repetition fits this kind of description here. I sort of feel like it should be maybe a bit more concise rather than poetically repetitive. It does sound omniscient, doesn't it? Also, hello 667. Hello. We're doing Sean's story today, by the way. Louder by the second. That could also work too, like, just to keep it a little less flowery. Oh, hey, Saika's actually beat me to the punch here with the it's. Good spotting, Saika. Yeah, I agree with this suggestion here from Saika. I think you can rework it a little bit more so that it's more less like a list. It was this, it was that, it was this, it was that. I reckon change it. Yeah, the hairs on the back, the hairs on her neck stood on end. It was faint but unmistakable, all too familiar of a noise. Deep rising hum, unending, laced with something sharp, and unearthly metallic ring loud by a second. Yeah, that's quite a nice edit actually. Yeah, well done, Saiga. Well done. What it does is it just gets rid of the it was and makes it fluid and flow together. And if that's what you want to go for, I think that could be definitely achievable. So, in fact, Saika suggests this. Yeah, well done, Saika. Good if you want a more fluid, one into another style of imagery. You could also go completely the opposite direction and have deeply fragmented, short, clipped sentences too. The drunken 38 shot sound plays. Very specific, but I love it. Ah, good. Hey. Oh, nice. Well, glad to be your credibility boost. Oh, it was a good suggestion. Oh my god, Herringbone, you've gone and done it now. This is over in Discord. Well. you can end on a high note, Sayaka. But yes, don't feel bad if you have to go off and sleep. I'm not going to be drawn into this discussion on Discord. It's about minions. It's not even a discussion. It's just upsetting. It was the it's growing louder by a second, and it was unmistakable. It was the ominous roar of an outrider, two of them, in fact. Yet it panicked. She scrambled toward the kitchen. The other thing you could do, actually, just one thing, you could also make the sound interact with the environment. Echoes, vibrations. That's just a nice way to ground the scene as well. So you can have a description of what it sounds like, and then how it's interacting with the glass and metal of the place. Like if it's a deep, sort of visceral, shaking presence, or if it's like a high vibrating kind of thing. I was gonna do a suggestion here about like a choppier version, but no, I think we're good. Leanna panicked. She scrambled toward the kitchen as the sound drew nearer. They were headed directly her way. Jumping up at the counter, she rolled over the top and landed neatly behind the bar. But the move had cost her. Something sharp and jagged had been sticking out from the countertop. Left hand was snagged mid-roll in a nasty-looking shard of metal. It had jammed into the fleshy bit, slicing deeply between her thumb and index finger. Ugh, yikes. Ouch. Her face scrunched up as she slowly excised the foreign object from her palm. The pain was searing. She could feel it radiating up her whole arm. Clasping her right hand over the wound, she pinched it shut, which felt even worse. Blood had already begun to pool in the dust at her feet as she looked around for anything to staunch the bleeding, but there was nothing useful. She thought to check the kitchen, but when she pressed against the door, it wouldn't budge. It was jammed shut. It didn't matter. The outriders were there now, the roar of their engines winding down, sidling at an idle purr. Out of options, Leanna was forced to retreat the way she came. She cautiously slid back over the counter, tiptoeing to the collapsed ramp, blood trailing along the floor. You could hear the two of them out there. They always patrol in pairs. The sound of their bellowing, the way they were going at it, back and forth like that. An argument, perhaps? There was no way to really know. They spoke in guttural, rambling tones, like nothing she'd ever heard. She shuddered, cold daggers down her back. No one had been able to decipher the strange language. Besides, there weren't many linguists hanging around these days. Just gonna cut there really quickly. This is... just gonna minimize Discord. There we go. So I don't have to look at that and that minion. Her left hand was snagged mid-roll on a nasty-looking shard of metal. So this here, in the same vein as before, with the narrative style of but her excitement was short-lived, this I think works really nicely because it ramps up the excitement of what comes in the scene that immediately follows it. When we try and do it again so quickly, I have a feeling... no, it's gonna... I have a feeling that having it done again so soon minimizes the overall effect of what's going to happen in the next paragraph. What I think should happen instead is we should cut this, shoot over the top, and that, and sort of start from here downwards. Jumping up at the counter, she rolled over the top. But as... I don't want to say leak blood, but like, if you watch the... I didn't spell adrenaline right. Now I did. Um... So, fairly straight, no, radiated as well, IDITD. Censorship? What's going on in chat? Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, this is probably in relation to me ignoring Discord. I think I remember being influenced by some novel or another when I wrote this section, how they used one of the liners to set up the next moment. Definitely mitigates the effect when used too frequently. I agree. Yep. It works nicely for the first one, but when I read it for the second, I sort of thought, it's too quick again. Lines that the one started with, Hello Time Snake could be written with more action to hype this scene up. If you wants you to ride behind a thickie, you'll take my advice and you'll enjoy it. Such a positive stream environment. I love it. But yeah, I think Gunster's right. I think just having it pushed straight in works a bit better. She rolled over the top, but as she came in on the other side, a terrible pain gripped her, and landing down to her left palm and saw it then, metal, a nasty bit of shark catching between thumb and forefinger, adrenaline and pain in her throat as she watched the gut begin to flow with new blood, pain radiated. Actually, you can probably get rid of the pain. And then what you then do is push her down into this scene here. I mean, does it make it better? It doesn't make it any more visceral or real, but maybe it has more of a... It takes a bit of power away from the narrator's total structural control of it. It's more like the narrator is playing catch up with Leanna rather than the narrator dictating the pace of events, so to speak. Maybe that's a bit more what we're going for. I don't know. Oh dear. There's bubbles. Then, panicked, in her desperate scramble to escape the noise, she broke into the kitchen. Hmm. I think I like Saika's suggestion. Maybe not in the execution, but in its intent. Um, in her desperate scramble to escape, maybe we can rephrase that. Leanna panicked. She needed hide. Now. So, does that give the same impression? I just want to make it sound like she has no plan, yeah. Hmm. She needed to hide now. I don't want to say to the kitchen. That doesn't make any sense. But like, then a panic. She needed to hide now. Maybe that sort of gives the impression that Psycho was going for here. Or you could say, blind. She scrambled towards the kitchen door, which I guess implies that she's not in control. That could also work really nicely too. OutriderSG pushing the sound to push Leanna. Hmm. Replacement alliteration and it'll work. A little advice. Cast me right head over the wound, pinched it shut, which felt even worse. Plotted already going to pull him into isn't nothing useful. Okay, cool. She thought to check the kitchen, but when she pressed against the door, it wouldn't budge. It was jammed shut. It didn't matter. She thought to check the kitchen, maybe perhaps reads a little too dry, coming off the back of my hand is bleeding. Or my hand is sliced open. So maybe keep up the sense of panic and desperation, which is evident here. It was jam shut, it didn't matter. That's good, Outrider. I like that. Yes, that's a good suggestion, Sayaka. If Sean, if you want me to post this into Discord, just let me know. Because this is your copy? My copy? I'm not sure whose copy this is. Yeah. You want other people to have a look? Kitchen. Cool. Will do. The Outriders were there now. The Royal Rangers weighing down, settling an idle pair out of options. Leanna was forced to retreat. Okay, I think I know where you've set up the trail. That's good. She could hear the two of them out there. Maybe a little too passive. A Turrell. Sounded the building they were. This could work. Maybe make it a bit choppier. Just a suggestion. A lyrebird suggestion. Sometimes making choppy sentences really help with getting us into the mindset of the character and adjusting the pace accordingly, adjust how the reader feels when they take it. So, with that in mind, it's probably good to slow it down. Wait, no. Does this slow down? I don't know if it slows it down, but what it does is it prevents the sentences from being too flowy, and it makes the images a lot more definite. Definite images over a shorter span equals concise and effective for this type of scene where you're trying to mix together a quick appraisal of a situation, a sense of danger, a sense that she's not thinking straight, a sense that she is hurt. All of those things align really nicely, like a good horoscope there. Unlike a good horoscope, though, this actually has a proper purpose. Or unlike any horoscopes. Anyway, I'm sorry I brought horoscopes up. The point is that if you maybe make it a bit choppier, it might heighten the sense of what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's what I was going for. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think that's probably what. Probably this, yeah, but the strongest suggestion I can give for everything that we've been working with is there's not so much to consider changing um, all of the narrative elements in a story sense, but maybe have a think about how the narrator is dealing with Leanna and her situation and her pain, and the other characters as they come into play. The way that you write it is really important because that's how your reader receives it. So that's kind of like the second layer of writing, so to speak. But yep. Besides, there weren't many linguists hanging around these days. I like the dry humor in that. It's perhaps a bit out of place, but I want to suggest that you keep it. You don't want to make the story overly grim, dark, so to speak. Or maybe you do. It's your call, but I quite like that sort of humor there. Likewise, put the cats back into the office before. I know that you said that you had that originally. I think that'd be fun. Like little Easter eggs of humanity. Measured and careful, she scaled the ramp, the pain in her hand making it much more difficult than it otherwise would be. You can rephrase that just with a more body-orientated description. Making it much more difficult than it otherwise would be can be one for one replaced with making her vision black out, bleed back in. That's okay. That's alright. That's what we're doing in the edits. We're taking up the dead weight and making it better. And oftentimes you won't pick it up yourself with lines that are dead weight. Sometimes you get so used to reading your own writing that you're just like, yep, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm reading through one of my stories now where I catch myself doing this so often, and it's just with this story where I know a sentence isn't quite there, but I'm just like, oh, I'm enjoying myself, I don't need to edit this. So it's a very real sense of sometimes when you get another person to read it at you, you're like, oh, well then, the rebel stirred, creaking each time, but super simple fix, right? Like you just say the same thing differently. It's not the fact that she's, yeah, it's the same thing differently. The rebel stirred, creaking each time her weight shifted on the ascent. The wreckage gave way as she reached the top, buckling out from under her, crashing onto the floor below and kicking up a storm of dust and noise. A calamity of concrete, wood, and steel sprawled across the cafeteria floor, knocking over tables and chairs. Whew, that is a domino effect. As she dangled from the floor above, Leanna could only watch as the catastrophe unfolded below. It wasn't until she managed to pull herself up and over the ledge that things began to settle. Of course, they heard the commotion as well. Ah, reach for top. I assume she was safely there. And then when we get here, she's dangling. So you probably want to mention that she's dangling here rather than here. And that way your reader has the correct image in their head as I go through the linear sequence of events here. You don't want her being safe and then in danger. Or perception of being safe, being in danger. Almost reach the top. She was almost at the top. And then she does like a Lara Croft leap. I don't know, you might not want to do that. Suddenly from outside, a wobbling, grinding noise wound up. She could feel the tingle of static. Get rid of the could, and just put felt. Like a felt tip marker. She felt the tingle of static rising as the whole thing twisted in on itself. At its apex, sound cracked off with tremendous force. The double doors blew off its hinges, or of their hinges. A million fragments of concrete flew across the room like shrapnel from a grenade. Each piece sizzled, glowing from the heat of the blast. Do anything here. I keep adding like a closing remark to highlight a full stop. Like sending a message over telegraph. Do you know what happened? What I did? What do you mean, Outrider? What do you mean by this sentence here? There was no time to waste. Leanna began to hastily creep. Get rid of that hastily. And get rid of the began to. Actually, yeah, this is one of those examples where getting rid of these two things just speeds up the sentence really nicely. It's always good to get rid of began to, seemed to, started to, and just get directly to it. And hastily is an adverb that you don't need. Leanna crept away. So you have to. Leanna crept away across the room above. Each step she took was measured but swift. You can probably make this a single sentence. Each step. Measured but swift. Even so, the floor squealed with every stride. Squeal with every stride. I don't love this, but it's like it's okay to leave in, I think. It's like a send off for the paragraph to the next one. Oh, okay. Excuse me. Yep, that's kind of course they had the commotion as well. I didn't notice it so much with this one here. Now I wonder if, because we've had quite a few demonstrations of consequence before, it's nice to turn it on its head and to do something like this instead. So you go back and forth between demonstrating a fact versus telling an implied fact, and I think this is nice. It fits well. It may not be, strictly speaking, the most favorable way to write this, but I think that it suits where it is, and that's in many ways more important than adhering to the "you must demonstrate all of your facts" kind of rule. I think it works well. Each a tiny beacon to guide the monsters to her. I know I didn't sneeze on my hand. TTLACC. I'm not a savage. Not a barbarian. Sneezing into tissues like a 21st century gentleman. Not like a 19th century kerchief wielding fop? Dandy. Yeah. Kerchief. Back to that sentence there. As she retraced her path through the row of desks, she remembered the old sweater. She snatched it up as she passed and flapped it in the air to shake the dust from the fibres and wrapped it around her palm. Liking purple, Leanna thought, cringing at the heinous material. No matter, it kept the bleeding at bay. To prime this for the reader, have him express her disgust before, because she had an opportunity to. And now I know why it wasn't purple. I thought it was part of a trap, but it's just coincidental. Have her express her disgust at the material when she first sees it. This link will help strengthen the reader's response. Murder on my feetsies. That's right, you said that you constructed for yourself like a standing desk at home. That's not a bad idea, actually. It gets rid of the modern blur. Curve in the spine. Doesn't it get played on for configurating? Ah! Oh, cool, okay. Definitely introduce it earlier then. If it's got importance like that, definitely introduce it earlier. Yep. Yeah, put it back in. Those elements that seem extraneous are sometimes the heart and soul of sequences. I'll explain why in a tick. Let me just finish this without slapping myself in the nose with the tea bag. Yeah. I don't remember who said this. Um, I think it was in an English class I took at uni, but um, some writer was saying that the total effect of a story after you finish reading it is the impression that you're left with, of it. You often don't remember specific turns of passages or word choices or very particular sequences of events. What you remember of snippets, you remember emotional snippets first and foremost. And I'm sure this isn't universal. I'm sure this isn't a uniform reaction from every reader to every story, but I sort of empathize with that too. When I think back to my favorite books, I have impressions. I have emotional impressions of what the story is. Sure, I have a synopsis in my head. It may not be complete, but what I do remember is more about the way it was making me feel as I was reading it, and very occasionally, very strong, specific images. And so, if I think back to this story, for instance, and if I was to recall it 3 weeks later, what are the things that I will remember as a reader? Tissues. Didn't go for my hand. Not a barbarian. The things that I think I'll remember are probably the bottle of water, dust, and then in addition to the sequence of events, she's here, she's doing this, she's thirsty, she's gonna go off to that. But these little things that thank you, GTLACC. Um, sometimes these things that we feel are extraneous detail is actually the heart of what we remember. No linguists. Oh, that's right, the linguists. I forgot about the linguists, but I just read it. Yeah, so other people may pick up on the humor in it as well. The humor, the objects, and the weight that's placed on them. Those tend to be the things that have the most sticking power. And so it's important that we treat them properly and with respect. It's important that they have a prominence in the story, in addition to the flow of a narrative. And so it's not just enough to have a character moving between a whole bunch of levels, or I mean, not to say that that shouldn't be there, but that shouldn't be the story. The parts where she stops and looks around, the parts where she's thinking, the parts where she's interacting with her environment, they're just as important to the narrative drive, and for forming an overall impression of the story, extremely important. So the purple thing needs to be a memorable element of this first chapter. And it will be too, because it will be focused by its rarity. Around that bottle scene, she was basically moving through a tunnel into the office cubicle, and then we get this very focused scene where she finds the water. So that's very clever. It's like an island in the narrative that I very clearly remember. On top of that island, then, you can put a very clear signal. I think that's probably a good thing to consider for other people's writing as well. When you're writing your own stories, have a think about if you've got a very action-oriented story, if you've got a story with a lot of motion in it, consider what it is that your reader will remember from this scene. It could be quirky, it could be funny, it could be horrifying, it could be anything really, as long as it's something that they can form a connection with. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, cool. That's really good to know, Outrider. That's like, that's one of the best things that I could hear, actually. I can encourage you to write more. Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. Yeah, and so Herringbone says, details that focus on the narrator or character would care to focus on. Hmm. I think that works really nicely when they have a unity between what the narrator wants and what the characters want. And then comes the question, is it extraneous detail then? I mean, it might appear to be extraneous, but if we remember it and if we form emotional connections with it, then it actually becomes integral. Now, you can go overboard with this. You can make everything emotionally laden, and then that has the effect of dilution. So it's useful for a story like this where you have long periods of motion or quite barren description. Not barren description, but just description that's not laden with any sort of emotion. Hmm. No, it's fine, Herringbone. All good. Good to sort of work on the side. Hmm. You could do that, true, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that has its own special weight to it too. Um on this topic, let me go back a little bit. Boo! Up here. To the very start of a story. Do-do-do-do. Right. Now, we spent quite a bit of time here describing what Leanna's wearing. With her button shirt? Yeah, that's right. We may. I think we're close to the end. I've got another 20 minutes. May not get there. Hmm. We'll see how we go. I want to talk about this really briefly. Do you remember at the start of the story, with what I've just highlighted here, we spent quite a bit of time describing her rifle. Oh wait, she's got a rifle, hasn't she? We spent quite a lot of time at the start of this chapter establishing a few baseline things about Leanna. She's got a rifle, she's got this button-down shirt that's in better days. I don't know if she's got a bandana, I don't think so. We spend a good chunk of time describing those things, and they don't make an appearance from about like here onwards. From here, as soon as she gets into this um she goes up into the building through a tunnel into the office. I have forgotten that she's wearing a special shirt, and I've forgotten that she's carrying a rifle around. She's still carrying a rifle around, isn't she? Um, weird point to mention this. I know, but just coming off. This reminds me of something. Leanna has a rifle, right? And also a special shirt. We spent a good chunk of time at the start of the chapter talking about this, but then don't have cause to follow it through. She doesn't reach for her rifle when she hears the Outriders. She's not reaching for it now. I imagine she's just unarmed, right? But then I remembered, oh, she's actually got a rifle. We're getting your appearance of living strange, but everything. Right, exactly. That's what I thought too. And I'm just gonna go comment. It's arguable then whether or not that needs to be as prominent as it is. If the detail isn't important to push through and remind your readers throughout the whole scene, I'd argue that a rifle is quite important, especially if she's going to use it later, but if she doesn't, then it's the kind of detail that you have to consider whether she needs, and if so, make sure that the reader remembers that she has a rifle, all the way through. She's going through tunnels. Does it like catch against a rock? When she's in the office, does she sling it over her shoulder? When she drinks the water, does she put it at her feet? When she staggers over the table and cuts her hand, does the holster get caught on something? All of those details need to be put back in if we spend as much time as we have at the start of a chapter talking about how special this rifle is. I understand why you've done it, like it was the scene building thing, but the trouble is that it needs to be pushed through the whole story. It can't just like pop in and then have no significance later. The purple stuff can, because that's a static object, but if it's related to Leanna, it needs to be very much focused on her scope. Something like that, exactly. Like when she hears the Outriders, oh, I've got a rifle. Like if she touches it and then thinks, no, that's stupid. They're just gonna overpower me. Something like that, right? 2 chapters later. Ooh, okay. Definitely need to then, if it has importance later on, and you want to establish its presence now, you need to go through and if these are if they're crucial details to the functioning of a story, they need prominence in everything that she does. Going into the building, wriggling through tunnel, in office, at water, down the ramp, over the table, Leanna carrying a rifle would come into play at every stage. It's difficult because when you establish it at the start, you need to carry it through because it's such a thing. The rifle, it's not like a canteen of water, or it's not like a compass or a watch where you can tuck it away and forget about it, like a shirt, for instance. It's a weapon, and it's big, and it's clunky, and it's gonna affect everything she does. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, that's actually a really good idea. Yeah. I'm gonna add that here. And as you commented, great opportunity to have her use it as an emotional crutch with a tick, and imbue that with a memory. Because we've established the past-present dual narrative at the very start of this chapter. We kind of lose it a bit towards the middle and end. Having the rifle there can be a useful prop to help her bleed between the present and the past, if you want to do more of those present-past dualities. If you want to do more of those present-past, you can then use the rifle as a prop to do so. And that adds everything positive. Adds emotional weight, adds consistency, adds fluidity to the narrative. And that would make it a really tight piece of writing, because it carries through what you establish in the first part down to the last. Here, let's keep reading. As she made it to the window, she could hear them shuffling around below. Climbed up and in. They were upstairs now. Pieces of their armor glowed, she discovered, peering through the gaps in the tunnel. So she's back at the tunnel. She continued on at a snail's pace. Any sound could spell her end. After what seemed like ages, she was back outside. The sun still high in the sky. This is a bit confusing, actually. I'm gonna be honest. I lose track of what she's doing. I thought she was hiding. As she made it to the window, she could hear them shuffling around below. She climbed up and in. They were upstairs now. Pieces of their armor glowed. As she peered through the gaps in the tunnel, she continued at a snail's pace. 8 seconds from the side. My memory is that there's an office, a tunnel, an entry room, and a window outside. So I'm not sure of the order of events here of what's happened. Just have another read and clarify this. I can't suggest anything. I just don't get it. Yep, that's what I thought too. Um, I thought she may be hiding. That's my impression of this. So maybe just come through and have a bit of a read this again and see if it flows. I can't follow. I can't follow its sequence. I remember that tunnel, but I think for me, is she hiding or fleeing? And I don't know. Of course she's fleeing, but like at the start. Ooh. One sec. Yes, good. At the start. Like, at the end I know she's fleeing, but at the start, I need a sense first and foremost of whether she's going to keep moving, or if she's just trying to hide and stop and be stationary. Leanna took a deep breath, and then swung her legs forward, and quietly proceeded down the mound of cinder blocks and steel, but immediately something felt off. The whole pile felt shaky, less stable than before. Not again. The explosion must have shaken something loose. Same as before, the heap began to give way. Abandoning caution, Leanna leapt from the rubble. She tumbled and she landed, but managed to roll out of it and back onto her feet. She looked back. The pile had imploded, folding inside out. Oh, they definitely heard that, she said, a grimace on her face. She could see the Outriders parked on the east end of the building, where the double doors used to be. They swayed and bucked as they hoovered. Hovered? I'm sorry. Hovered, not hoovered. That was my mistake. They swayed and bucked as they hovered, alive with electric bolts in a tangled blue and violent spark. A series of circular cells lined the undercarriage of each, and the lightning swirled and crackled, arcing between the nodes. None of the machine's components looked new or even well maintained. Most of the inner workings were left exposed, covered in soot and grime, rattling with eager intent as the vehicle hummed in idle fury. I like the individual parts of this, but I can't picture it. They. I like the individual parts of this description, but my first impression is hazy. Why is it hazy? Well, I think it's because I don't know it's a vehicle until the very end. Could see the Outriders where the double doors used to be. They swayed and bucked as they hovered. So my impression of the Outriders is that they're human. So Outriders are human. So when you say they, I pictured people, but then they sway and bucked and hovered, and I don't get what that means. Are they horses? Are they like a bucking horse? Like, what is the they? Should you instead declare it as a vehicle? Declare this thing that she is seeing as a vehicle? They're robots. They could be, yeah. Ooh, I didn't pick up on that. It could be robots, that's very true. Put a question mark there. That she's seeing as a vehicle. Yeah, just a bit of clarification here would be good. So the Outriders are the hover bikes, the machines themselves. I suppose referencing the Outriders first without stating what they were, it backfired. Yeah, I think so. Instead of a mystery with an answer, they're not as confusing. We'll fix. Cool. Outriders ride Outriders. They're Outriders in the machines, but the Outriders are the people who ride them, and they're called Outriders. Yep, that makes sense. But I think because we haven't established that Leanna knows that relationship, but we don't. So when you describe them here, it just gets gives. Yeah. Aliens are the aliens. They ride the Outrider. Aliens are the aliens. They ride the Outriders. Oh, okay. So they're not human. They're the aliens. Nice. So they are not. Oh, I get it. So I'm going to tell you about an impression that I had, and I don't know if other people had this impression too. I know we're tantalizingly close to the end, and I'm sorry for just harping on about this. But my impression was that they were human raiders. Now, why? Was that a wrong impression on my part? I see it now. Yeah, they're the aliens. The only thing that may be confusing for some readers, stupid readers like me, is that in the back of my head, I still hadn't differentiated whether the threat was human or alien, because at the start of the scene, we had no overt declaration from Leanna or the narrator about she is on the lookout for this, a threat, and that threat is wastelanders. I don't even know if there are wastelanders in this story, or if the threat is from the Outriders exclusively. And so I was suspending the threat throughout the whole story, thinking to myself, it could be either A, aliens, or B, humans. And here they arrive, and they're things. And a smarter reader probably would have interpreted one of these sentences as no one had been able to decipher the strange language. A smart reader would go, oh, they're the aliens. Me, in my weird sense, assumed that there was this offshoot of humanity who had developed their own language, and no. So it's a silly impression from me. And I guess what that means is that I would need to... Maybe that's a me problem. Hmm. We can take a consensus from group chat and see what you guys thought. And that might help Sean recalibrate, or it could just be something that you don't need to work with. I think I remember that Sekoj, yeah. Okay, I talk about the rising the understand. That's true. Yes, you did. You did. I don't remember that happening. Oh, hang on. Right. Um. Oh, okay. Okay. That's right. With your comment here. This one. Nice. Nice. That's really cool. Um. Yeah. Here's what I suggest. There's a great opportunity to. I think you've done this. I don't remember from chapter 2. It may just be me not remembering because it's been a while since we did chapter 2. If you link the sound, like the infinitely rising hum, if that's linked between chapter 2 and chapter 3, then that's great. That will help cushion in this understanding that these are the aliens. The other thing to do would be at the very start, just to help your reader out and be like, 17 years in the future, there are there is the alien threat, and that's what she's looking out for. Because otherwise, I still think, regardless of me being silly or not, I was still half expecting there to be a human threat and an alien threat, and I didn't know which one was going to happen until we get down here, and it's the rising hum. So it's not the rising hum that's a problem. I think that's okay with this second chunk, but you probably want to then just unless you do want to have a double threat and then have it go one way at the very end. I think that's okay. Good. Even hum is linked. Nice. Good. Well, I think that's actually quite a good place to stop then. I think we've um that's probably a good place to cut. Just because I do need to head off soon, but also I think we've wound up a few of my misunderstandings there. Um, no, I think that's all good. I think I'm more comfortable now that I know where the story's gone. Mm. Definitely, I think consider how you want to work it. There's a real, I mean, there's an advantage in being definite for sure, but at the same time, having a dual threat could be a really interesting thing to play with. So just have to think about how you want the expectation to be. You could establish a single nebulous threat and not be specific about whether it's human or outrider. Um, that could be good to work with too. Just have a think about it. Good stuff. Alright, so the next stream I may finish off Sean. How much more do we have to do? It'll be about another hour's worth of stream, and I'll see if Psycho wants to have another stream on Thursday. Otherwise, I've got another story we can play with. Good stuff. Ah, someone's both working. Oh, okay, cool, cool. That's nice. You can definitely do lots of cool things to play with expectations then. 457. That's 30 minutes tops. It was more like, I think it was more close to 800. Tools, workout. This one here. 857. That may be like a resolution problem. Oh. All good. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. Thank you for joining. And I hope your Saturdays/Sundays are filled with much writing and other fun things. Good. Yes. And plentiful Windows updates. Thanks for joining me, guys. Psychology Outrider, TTLACC, Herringbone, Outrider, Sayaka. I think. Oh, and 669 popped in for a while. 667. Yeah. Cool. We'll see you guys Thursday. Have a good weekend.